So
we'll be right there.
This is a view of the light, a fire burning through the night. We rise, we shine, we take the fight. A view of the light.
You love that? Wasn't that
I
cute?
love that. I love
That's
that.
Rhonda's creativity there. And so I appreciate Rhonda Elliott, my co-host, what she did right there.
That was so fun. Thank you, Rhonda, for making that fun.
So welcome to Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light, all of our beautiful, beautiful family here. Today's show is going to be an adventure. So let's do some sage. Well, actually, it's not sage. It's that yerba sante stuff. So Sarah, take some of it. I burned some outside earlier when I called in the Angel of Spirit Sessions because, we need her today. So I have a sensitive subject. In fact, this is the very first episode of Spirit Sessions that we've ever had to have a warning. I wasn't going to read it. It's in the description, but it's one of those. I don't know where I put it, but because it's a sensitive subject, and Stacy's opinions are her opinions through her experiences of life and things, and same with me. And so we're here to share some things. And Stacy, to remind you, what I asked you on about is I really want to hit the subject of spiritual bypassing and other areas related to that, because I walk both worlds here. I get to do meditations. I get to facilitate healings and Reiki. But then I've been through my mental health so much of my life. And so for everyone, I kind of want to look at the subject here. How do we know when we're really doing the spiritual work or when we're bypassing something we need to be doing? Are there some signs that you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I may have a controversial perspective on this, to be honest.
Ooh, let's do it.
Because to me, I see our health as more holistic. I always have. I actually created a worksheet about this in 2001 when I was driving in between therapy clients, because I used to do in-home therapy and I'd drive between clients. And, this is when you'd make phone calls, because the only way you made the appointments was, you made phone calls to make the appointments with people on landline phones, by the way.
Yeah.
And I hand wrote all of my notes, and, this was back in the day. And this worksheet was to help clients see this way. And so I hadn't even heard the phrase spiritual bypassing until you told me, until you said that. And when I look at it, I cringe, because to me, health, if you picture a circle, and those of you who know, picture a medicine wheel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And because this is exactly how it came to me. This is probably one of my first messages from source that I recognized as a message from source.
Right.
A circle, medicine wheel, your 4 quadrants are biological, mental, so biological health, psychological health, which is your thinking and feeling. So psychological split in 2. Biological is anything that has to do with the body, how much you sleep, how much you eat, what substances you put in your body, whether you're drinking water, kefir, or soda. If you know, you know. Then the third one is social. And the fourth one
good one.
Spiritual.
Yeah.
So the third one with the social is like anything is yourself and anybody who you are in kind of close relationships with. And then spiritual is a continuum of hope to hopelessness at the core. But all of the things inside that wheel, anything that touches the center dot, you're the center dot. Those are the things you have control of and that you should be balancing. You need to balance all 4 of those areas in order to take care of each of them. So if I have poor physical health, I can't focus on my psychological health.
Right, it's true.
You think about it, and you kind of go through them backwards. If your sense of hope to hopelessness, your social supports, your thinking and feeling, and your biological, if you're not feeling well biologically, you can't focus on the other three. It's just not even possible, really, because that's and you can think of it like Maslow has, like with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in that pyramid sense.
Oh,
It's very similar, but I turned it into a circle.
okay.
Right. So your biological is those are those needs that you've got to have enough sleep. You've got to have the right substances in your body. You've you've got to exercise. You've all the things before you can think about your mental health. And your mental health is like it has to do with your emotions and your thinking. If you think about that from a
Yeah,
human design perspective, you've got the source coming in through the top into the anja,
yeah,
and then you've got the your grounding from the earth coming up through the root, but to the emotional center,
right.
right? So you've got to. We know that it's part of the body that way. The thinking and feeling is part of the body, and I didn't know anything about human design back then. I am just a baby learning it right now.
Oh, yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. But and at that time it wasn't even wasn't talked about much. So, my
Okay.
perspective though was that, you had to have the one and then the next. And then if you don't have social supports, if you don't have people around you that love you and tend to you and you love
Yeah,
and tend to and honor and help and those things, then, because humans are social creatures.
for
Then
sure.
then if you get those three in kind of some form of balance, then if you work on the spiritual, because then you're free to work on the spiritual because you've got the others kind of you're okay. That doesn't mean that you bypass the other three if you work on the spiritual, because it's a part of the balance also.
It
And if
is
you
part of
don't
it, yes.
balance, right?
Right.
We're all free. And this, I kind of think I go into now, like, I think I knew this back then, but when you asked me about spiritual bypassing, I'm like, wow, I don't even know what that means. And I got to looking at it and I'm like, no, the spirit is part of our health. If we access spirit to help us with our physical health, that's possible, right? You
Yeah,
access spirit to help with your mental health. It's okay because spirit is is source. And
right.
so why would source not help you balance those other three?
That's what I understand. The first time I ever heard of spiritual bypassing was from my social worker when I was feeling and doing at my best. Okay. I had been
Mm,
reading Dr. Wayne Dyer's book and it was sinking in and landing deep and I was making boundaries. I mean, I was like, I was becoming a human finally and stuff. And I was feeling so good. And she says, well, how do you know you're not spiritual bypassing? I don't know. How would I know? And so I was asking her, and then what she explained it as is just so hanging on to only the good things that I am not taking care of all those other things that you're talking about. I'm not
yeah,
taking care of my social. I'm not taking care of my things. I'm just so focused that this is all I need is me and Wayne Dyer, or whatever she was
yeah.
seeing it
And
as.
I can see the I'm sitting here, I'm actually looking at the definition vis-a-vis Wikipedia, which we know, Wikipedia is not an academic source.
Yeah,
However, it is common knowledge source, and I don't disagree with Wikipedia to an extent. So 1980s psychotherapist John Wellwood defined the term and said it's a tendency to use spiritual beliefs, practices, and jargon to avoid confronting unresolved emotional wounds, psychological issues, and basic human realities. Now, I I I kind of get what they're saying when they're saying that, it's you're doing that so that you're avoiding. I think
right.
anytime we avoid looking at our whole self,
Yes.
then you've got an imbalance because not looking at things. But at the same time, maybe it's not time to, maybe you need to heal, or you need to either heal or use the spiritual balance so that you can then feel good enough to then look at the emotional wound.
Yeah, very true.
I also wonder, being the 80s, growing up in the 80s, I'd never heard, like, people didn't talk about astrology or tarot or human design or those things in the same way we do now.
Yeah.
Like, they'd talk about, oh, did you read your horoscope? And it was just a
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
little thing. It was
Yeah.
just it was
I
it was
remember.
considered like a frivolous non-thing.
Right.
And I know now, I have a different relationship with it now, is know that we're all frequency.
Yeah. Isn't that neat?
And that astrology is so, like, science and spirituality used to be connected way back.
Yeah.
At the beginnings, when we were all indigenous, science and spirituality it wasn't two different fields, it was one thing. And then it split. For lots of reasons in history, you can look it up, science and spirituality split. And it has been coming back together. Because, like, people like Dr. Bruce Lipton, perfect example.
Yeah.
Cellular biologist, scientist, wrote a book called Biology of Belief,
Yeah.
connected spirituality. So it's
Was that
come back
beautiful?
together. And so I wonder, here's what I wonder. Is spiritual bypassing a concept that came out then because they didn't know what they didn't know?
It could be, because if it came out in the 80s, and that happens to be like the late 80s was when I was in the therapy, it was probably just getting thrown around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, and it said even things like toxic positivity,
Yes.
emotion police, conflict avoidance, and premature transcendence. Now, I don't like the phrase premature transcendence. I think that's how can you prematurely connect to source? I think.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah. Okay.
Right, to me, like, you connect to source when it's time to connect to source.
Yeah.
Now they've got some common examples here of, instead of grieving, people say their soul simply moved on, so I shouldn't cry. Well, wait a minute. Maybe that person, and they're saying that because you just say, I shouldn't cry because of whatever, they're saying you're not going through the process of the grieving. But do we all not grieve differently?
Yeah. Yeah. We do. And we hit the things again and again, too.
Yeah.
Circles.
It says, instead of setting boundaries, you say, I must hold space and forgive them. It's all part of the lesson. Okay, maybe can it not be, I must hold space and forgive them, it's part of the lesson? Can you not hold boundaries and forgive somebody at the same time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's totally possible. So I wonder if people who have more understanding of source and spiritual actually are using those tools to work on their mental health and their physical health and their social health. It's actually what I call, and I've registered this term, by the way, is Source GPT.
Oh, neat. Oh,
we all have access to Source GPT.
Right. Yes.
Are they maybe using their Source GPT? They're putting it in. They're asking GPT about their health, about their mental health, about their social health, and getting information back and working back and forth with it.
Right.
Now, the difference between Source GPT and Chat GPT, or any of the ones we use here, Source GPT is access of everything because it's source.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a wrong answer. No. Whereas over in Chat GPT, be careful. Careful. Because you can get confabulation, you can get hallucinations, it's a computer answering you. Source GPT is the universe answering you. How can you get an answer?
Yep, true source right there. Isn't that beautiful?
How can you get a wrong answer if that's what you're asking? And so how can spiritual bypassing occur if source always gives you the right answer?
Right.
And
So
so
that's
so like my colleagues might be a little whatever with me, but they always have been.
well,
Because
don't change now. I mean,
I'm not. And I think many of them are catching up. We've got lots of us that understand those things. When I came into the field in the 90s, when I came to the field of social work, even talking to a client about their spirituality, whatever it was, we didn't learn about that. We
really.
learned, ask people, how much sleep they're getting, ask people how
Okay,
well they're
right.
eating, ask people what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, how their social things are, but we didn't ask about the spirituality. You might ask what religion they are, or if they go to church, maybe. But
Because
even
that's a social connection, at least.
yeah, and in fact, that's totally what happened when this thing hit me of, wait a minute, we're missing a piece. I knew then, and I know it was 2001 because I made it into I wrote it down. I don't have the original paper, but I did write it down, and I remember writing the date on it.
Oh,
You know, and it literally is how everything's connected for us. And I realized then that we hadn't been taught that, not because, not from any malicious reason, but just it wasn't taught then. Now, since then, spirituality has become important in psychiatry, psychology, and in social work.
how
Um,
neat. I'm
I,
glad.
I think maybe even in public health. I'm
Oh,
not sure on that one because I lost my mind in the 2000s and got a degree in public health too. That was just a whole different story. And my knowledge is just that. It's what's in this head. It's the movie that's playing in here. And I think to go back to that disclaimer, and the thing is the things that we're expressing here are literally just our individual experiences, and people
right.
need to take what they it's not a legal, or it's not even
That's right.
it's not even, I can't even say it's my professional opinion. I'm going to say
Right.
it's my Stacy opinion,
Yeah, your experience. Yeah.
and my experience, because even none of this is professional advice. None of it should be considered professional or diagnostic advice. And the same with, it's not, we might not even agree on the things, and the network may not agree on what we're doing. And it's not for that. It's for, take what works for you and leave the
And
rest.
just open the conversation to
Yeah.
find out what works.
I'm curious of what the audience thinks of the phrase spiritual bypassing.
Let's go to the comments and see. Oh, I know I pushed them away. There they are. No comments yet. It's just us, Stacy.
Well, people watch this when we're not here too, so we know
That's
that.
true.
I'm
I was going to
curious
tell
if
you
you're-
one time.
Yeah, let me know.
Go ahead, ask your question.
I'm curious if you're watching to, what do you think of the phrase spiritual bypassing? What does that mean to you? And have you ever had someone tell you that? Have you ever felt that yourself? Have you ever told somebody else that? I'd love to hear the
Yeah.
discussion. And
Yeah.
especially if you are a clinician, if you're a social worker like me, and you've used that phrase, or you've, I'd love to have the professional discussion with you and find out, okay, what have you seen that is that, and what have you seen, what have you done with somebody when you think they might be?
Or saying love, 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 that you two are blending the minds.
Good
What
morning,
else
Miss
can we do?
Thang.
And
And
then we've got,
here's the gold right here. Yeah.
yes, that's it.
Put that one
Jessica.
up,
Okay,
Teresa.
I meant to. Here we go.
Never been a fan of it, nor the phrase toxic positivity. I am so with you. Because how in the hell can how can joy be toxic in a negative way? I like the idea of it being toxic or not toxic, contagious.
Right.
Contagious is good. Contagious joy instead of toxic. I think we replaced the phrase. We just need to replace it.
Well, then it's time. Yeah,
You
I
know?
agree with all this. This is all pretty exciting. I was going to share with you one story though. Back in those days, yes, I was. It was time for me to recertify my SSI, and
Mhm.
so you got to go and you got to talk to somebody and answer all these questions that make you feel really bad about yourself. Okay, they don't ask
Oh,
nothing about what have you been doing to feel better or what's been helping you feel. No, they're asking you everything about what makes you feel terrible. So you're really decrepit by the time you're going in there asking. So they're asking. Mike was sitting there, and I held on to my positivity that day. I held because I probably had my Wayne Dyer book in my purse there. You know what I mean? Because I wait at the bus stop and flipping through, you know. And so I was sharing with him some of the greatest things that I had learned up to then. And he threw me out of his office, threatening to call the cops, saying, I am going to go to the tomb, not the grave. He used the word, you're going to go to the tomb with those beliefs that you have, and kick me out. So then I didn't know where my SSI stood at that point. Oh no.
that
But
had to be
apparently it's
scary.
still got it. Yeah. Wasn't that scary? Yeah. And it's like, man, I shared my little heart there.
And to me, when I hear that, I'm like, that person just added trauma to your life. And now I don't know. I'm gonna have to disclaim that, like, I have never worked in the Social Security arena
Right.
or the Medicaid arena as far as working for the state or working for the government in those,
Okay.
you know, making having people be eligible. In fact, generally the people who do that, they may or may not have social work degrees, by the way, and especially back
Oh.
then.
Ooh.
Especially back then. And they
Wow.
may or may not have had any experience or education in the field.
Yeah.
If they did, and actually now, if they in the state of Missouri, it's actually not legal to call yourself a social worker unless you have a degree in social work and a license to practice it,
Oh
and
boy,
or a
man.
license to practice it. And in order to get the license, it used to be you could just work your way up and end up getting a license. You could have a degree in basket weaving and get a license to practice and be call yourself a social worker. And the legislation that it protected the title and protected the profession, because what we learn and do as a profession is very specific, and it shouldn't be that somebody works for the state and works their way up to being able to call themselves a social worker.
Okay.
um, and but back in the day that was possible. And
Wow.
so the licensed counselor is also a protected title in Missouri. You can't call yourself a counselor unless you are a licensed professional counselor. So I can't even call myself a counselor, and don't. I call myself a therapist. um or I can call myself a social worker all day long because I got all the whatevers. But it's good that there's protection to the title because it maintains the integrity of actually what we are trained in compared
Right.
to back then. And so I don't know whether the person you spoke with was a social worker or not, but let's just say they were.
Interest. Yeah.
If they or even a psychiatrist, a social worker, a psychiatrist, a psychology, somebody with a degree, if they did that, that was just absolutely horrifying to me, because they handed you trauma to put on your plate, not something to help you. Um, yeah,
But you
and
see, back then, we're looking at the time back then.
mhm,
I don't know how, like, maybe things were politically motivated. So not that I want to go into politics at all, but I know there was a reform going on at that
mhm,
time. And we all had to sign our goals, what our goals were going to be, and the steps we wanted. So there was all kinds of reform going on. So
yeah,
I think to fit into the molds that they still needed us to fit in, they probably had to talk to us a certain way, or you know what I mean, to lead us. It was weird because I was
it
in the
sounds,
system deep, okay, and
yeah,
we, to get your meds you had to keep going to the doctors. You couldn't just get your meds and go on your own life and stuff.
right,
And you had to okay, of course, do blood tests and all those kind of things, right? You
yeah.
know, every now and then to
Now,
keep that all
there are
right.
certain meds that you've got to do blood tests just so that you
Yeah.
don't get, literally your body doesn't get toxic, like physically toxic.
Yeah.
There are certain meds that they have to keep within a certain balance, especially back then with certain meds, they had to make sure you
For sure.
were taking the right amount. I think thankfully I don't know a lot about medications, but enough that there's been new medications and things.
Yeah, there is. There's some good new medications now.
Yeah.
It seems it's going a whole lot better. But what I am really excited and hopeful about is seeing you blending this all in together a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Because whatever happened to me in old school, I don't know for sure everything that's happening now, but I do see that there's still a disconnect a little bit from some a deeper guidance, because it
yeah.
seems every week it's just, well, how you feeling? Did you try this? That? Okay,
Yeah.
see you next week. And it's like, whoa, there's
I
so much
think
more fun to be had.
I think you're right. There's definitely there's a disconnect because um the fields of psychology and social work are so regulated now by insurance coverage and what insurance says, that you have to do XYZ in a session, and you have to have it needs to be scientifically evidence-based, scientifically. And so because there's not what they think is not enough or not the right kind of science available to support the spirituality,
Right. Okay.
they don't understand enough of Dr. Lipton's work. I'll put it that way. That they being and really kind of I'll probably get myself in trouble here, is the American Psychological Association at some level, and also like just insurance companies by themselves, and
Oh,
medicine.
true.
Our
True.
Western medicine structure is was built on, you have to have the science behind it, and you have to do evidence-based medicine, and pathological, where you have to diagnose someone with a pathology. In other words, saying something is
Right.
wrong with the person.
Okay.
See,
Ooh, look
there's
at that.
the balloons agree with me, and when the balloons agree with me, it's like source saying it agrees. That why do we have to give somebody a saying something's wrong with them in order to help them?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
does
Not
something
me.
have to be wrong in order to be in a helping profession? But that's where our systems are. And actually that's part of the reason I'm working my way out of that system, so that I can help someone just because they ask me for help, not because they have a disease, dis-ease, or they have something pathological wrong with them. In other words,
Right. Right.
I want to help guide somebody because they want to go on a journey.
Yeah.
They want to cross a threshold, if you
Oh,
will.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of my new branding that's overarching everything I do is threshold crossing,
Yeah. I
because I
understand.
found out through my own spiritual journey
Yeah.
that that's what I'm supposed to do in this world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I've always done. I've just not known the totality of it until now. And so the I but the this system that all of our providers are stuck in doesn't allow has never allowed for spirituality, because it's not scientifically backed. Doesn't allow for work with source or human design or astrological, because it's considered a pseudoscience, or it's considered not real. And it's just it upsets me from a practitioner's perspective of, I can't help somebody. I'm told not to help them with things that are spiritual like that initially. And then I'm told not to use those things myself as a practitioner because they're not scientifically backed. However, the
Oh,
practice of mental health therapy is also but we are told to use our art. So we're told to use science and art. So we've got the scientific
okay.
backing of all the academic stuff we've learned, and think all the damn letters behind my name and all that. Yeah, okay, I've got all the learning things that they want us to learn. That's all the science in my head. To me, the art is what I have learned through my experience with people. And
Oh,
to me, the art is also what source tells me. And when I lean in to what my gut says, from my experience and from source, when I lean into that and I help somebody with it, or better yet, oh my God, when I'm doing NLP or hypnosis, when
Right.
I'm doing hypnosis with somebody, I'm helping them with their unconscious mind,
Yeah.
is direct tap
That's
in
right.
with source,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you can tell it lights me up.
Yeah.
But because I truly am helping them using their body, their thinking and feeling, their social, and their spiritual. I'm using the spiritual because we're going to their unconscious mind,
Yeah.
right? And that's when the super powerful stuff happens, because I can help people with true permanent journeys. I can help them cross the threshold and not have to go back and forth across it because the system they're in tells them they have to show up here, journal, tell me what's wrong. If you have to tell me what's wrong every time and it's the same story every time, I haven't helped you release it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If I can help you release it, then we go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And when I have somebody tell me their trauma story every single time, that actually is reinforcing that it's a trauma story. Why was I doing that to people because that's what the system told me I had to do.
Right.
And it actually didn't help anybody. It actually harmed them.
So I wonder when you were realizing that, was it that when you started practicing your own, or did you start adding it into what you were doing, or how did that
Oh,
delicacy work for you?
yeah. So back in the back, and this, I mean, it goes back to that 2001 point and goes through my whole career, to be honest, because I would say or do something with a client and I'd be thinking, where the hell did that come from? Because I'm like, I couldn't say, oh, I knew it tied exactly back to theory X or practice Y or evidence-based this or whatever. And I knew like whatever I told them felt right.
Right.
But I couldn't tie it to a particular theory or a thing from school. And I felt like, oh my God, am I doing something wrong? And
Okay.
what was really cool though is like 2 weeks later, I'd be talking to the same client and they'd say, oh, you know that thing you told me such
Oh,
and such day? And
yeah.
I'd say, yeah. And they'd go, it was exactly what I needed. And I knew that that happened over and over and over again, but I couldn't pinpoint it in myself of going, where did that come from? Well, I started going, I called it therapy by the seat of my pants or therapy by gut. And I'd go, well, I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I'm going to try this. Or I'd tell them something. I go, I'm not sure where that came from, but let's see if it's helpful.
Right.
And I didn't know at the time that what I was doing was downloads from source of what
Yeah.
to do. And I wish I would have, because I would have gone this direction a long time ago. Because every single time I did it, it helped the person release something it helped on a permanent basis versus the stuff I'd learned in, not that it wasn't informed by the stuff I learned in school. I would weave it together.
Yeah.
But every single time there was something gut like that, the person would come back and say it was exactly what they
Is
needed.
that? I love that.
And so eventually, when I realized that on the whole, I'm like, and so that was happening at the same time my own spiritual journey was happening. So it was happening like it was in two separate silos. They weren't coming together yet.
Okay.
They didn't start coming together till I became a practitioner of NLP,
Oh, neat. Yeah.
neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
So that was February of 22 that I took that. And before that, I actually had learned EMDR, eye movement desensitization and
Oh,
reprogramming,
really?
which is and they are all connected. There's a whole history there. But February was practitioner, and then November, I became a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, mental emotional release or timeline therapy, and hypnosis. And I learned how to take people back, past lives, past
Woo-hoo-hoo.
generations,
Yeah.
take them into their future, take them into their past, do hypnosis, all of those things. And that started me on a journey.
Yeah.
Now, personally, I had hypnosis for 10 plus years when I learned it myself. I had been going to a hypnotherapist
really?
myself. So
Okay.
I'd been on the journey for me,
Oh.
but I hadn't had the desire to learn it. Oh my God, I wish I had, because because now I'm just like, that's the best way I love working there, because
Yeah.
literally that's when I can help somebody release something permanently
So
and
do you
have them
see what it
go to the
looks
next
like?
thing.
All that was structure, all those degrees and all the things,
Mhm,
and they give you a firm language
mhm.
that's known that people can hear. And then when your intuitive hits come through,
Yeah.
when that flow of source comes through, now it has a space to land and be delivered.
Well, and like what my friend Etta told me, Etta Jackson, she had a book of Understanding Your Choice. Amazing book, brilliant friend. I need to introduce you, Teresa. Um, but Etta taught me that was the Pisces, we're coming out of we were
Right.
coming out of the Piscean age and going to the age of
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
And the Piscean age was all about that structured, um, um, he- uh, academic style knowledge and
Right.
science. And then the Aquarian age being about the divine feminine and the spiritual and then understanding. But we needed that
Yeah.
academic piece so that we had words to understand and express things, you know. Um, I love, and I used to hate being like so far ahead of like my
Oh,
colleagues and things,
okay.
because it's a lonely place to be. It's lonely when you know things 20 years ahead and you can see them and you can see what's going on, and people around you are looking at you like you have 3 heads and
Uh,
like you're crazy for seeing things ahead of time, or that you have a perspective that's very different from theirs, and they get mad at you. And it used to be really, really lonely, and now thankfully I think I'm meeting more and more people. I'm connecting with my own people who understand those things, and they don't look at me like I have 3 heads. They accept me for who I am. They work, they accept the craziness that comes out of the squirrel's mouth. Um, Even if they don't agree with it, and so, like, we can actually I love that when I can have, like, these really cool discussions with people that cross all of it over. I think Sang said something in the comments about, um, love that you 2 are blending the minds.
oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's that blending that we all should do as humans, right?
Oh, where was that? Yeah,
It was before, yeah.
that one. There it is. See, I have
And
to
we're
bring my
blending the
glasses.
Teresa and the Stacy mind today too. I think that's what she was talking about, but I think I also took it as blending of those, that academic thing with the spiritual thing.
So
Uh,
for a minute though, I kind of want to jump into a little bit of a different area
mhm,
and hit this at a little bit of a different angle. Because sometimes in the spiritual community, you especially like me, you put people on pedestals or something and stuff. And
mm,
so I really want to, because of how important it is. So like in today's digital world, how can we stay discerning without becoming overly cynical or disconnected with all the things
oh,
going on? You know what I mean? Like there's
talk
your
about a
leader,
big one, Teresa.
boom. Yeah, you want me to read that one again?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I think it's an important one.
Okay, so it's all about the perspectives and things. So in today's digital world, how can we stay discerning without becoming overly cynical or disconnected? That's kind of,
Mm,
we can be overly involved or we can just,
mhm.
so,
You know, if it's okay for me to share, just like I literally got a download from source, right?
woohoo.
That it was the download from source said, "Stay human, be curious, but stay connected to each other." So, like, I'm not sure exactly what that means, except that, you know, tools have always been just that. The first tool we had was fire. We could burn each other up with it, or we could use it to, cook, corns on the cob to make dinner, right?
Yeah,
Um, and then, the printing press could be used to disseminate negative propaganda, or it can be used to disseminate beautiful words and
right, right,
poetry.
right. Yeah.
Um, this digital age, if you will, those are tools.
Yeah.
But those tools are used by humans. And it's us using the tools in, are we using them for the benefit of ourselves and each other? Or are we using them for the detriment? Because there's always, it's what my friend Etta calls the pairs of opposites. You have to, you have to learn the gray, because you can even go way too, I guess you could go way too far over into the good, because you can go way over into the bad, but there's always gray in between. As humans, it's like, she says, resolving the pairs of opposites. That's how she puts it. And it's that journey in between as humans, and it's the connection with each other, the interchange of our movies, because 8.4 billion people on the planet, 8.4 different movies running in each of our heads. That's a lot of freaking movies.
Yeah.
And I think true respect to me is me understanding that Teresa's got this beautiful movie playing in her head. And the more I connect with Teresa, the more I get to understand what her movie is. Right? And even if there's something in her movie I disagree with completely, if I can wrap around it and go, that's beautiful that she has that movie.
Yeah.
And what can I learn from it? And how do I understand it? And understanding Sang's movie and Jessica's movie, and
I love
that the more when we approach someone else's movie with curiosity and and wanting to learn about it, then that keeps me from being cynical, because I'm just wanting to be curious and learn, what does that look like? And to know that it's beautiful and valid for that person, no matter what. Even if it's somebody that we totally disagree with, or they're doing something bad in the world. And I don't even want to go into that, because I don't bring negative, and I don't want people to feel negative. But when you can go into any other person's head and do what you can to lean in and understand that movie and be curious about it, and to be able to say their movie is just as valid as mine.
Yeah.
That keeps me from being cynical. It keeps me from being, but it also doesn't keep you from experiencing emotions, because you see somebody do something and go, that pisses me off. We're here to experience the range of emotions. We're here to experience the range of experiences in life. And you need to experience the pissed off. But what do you do afterwards? You go, okay, what was it that pissed me off? Was it my baggage or my movie or something in mine that I was holding on to so tight?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I couldn't accept the other person's movie? Or was it they did something because of their movie, and they did something and it wasn't even my stuff to carry to begin with?
Yeah.
And that's personally been my own experiences. Is as somebody who's very empathic, is learning how to let someone else carry their own shit. And that's not easy. I hope it was okay. I said carry their own shit in here. I keep thinking I'm in show me your nuts, because over there I say anything.
Well, I was going to say about how we need to be pissed on, and I go, well, yeah, I've always heard it's better to be pissed off than to be pissed on. So I was
absolutely better to be pissed off than pissed on, for sure, right?
So, yeah,
allowing yourself to be pissed on is, and it's. I think the discernment is, when is something someone else's shit and when is it yours?
Right.
And the only way to know that is to go inside.
Okay.
Right? The only way to know whether it's somebody else's stuff or your stuff is to go inside and look at and take responsibility for your own shit.
Yeah.
And then if it's not yours, then allow them to carry their own stuff, because you can't do their journey for them either.
Well,
they
true.
can't do yours and you can't do theirs.
It wouldn't
We
be
can
fair.
be here and support each other while we're doing it, but I can't do your journey.
Yeah.
and any therapist or advise or person helper who is prescriptive and tells you what to do, or tells you that you should or should not, or that you need to follow what they say,
Yeah,
they're
see,
not, they're doing you a disservice.
so that's some of the things to watch for too.
Yeah.
Are you being
And
told how to believe, or
and you, as the patient, as the client, as the person in that situation, you have every right to fire that practitioner and find a different one. I don't care if it's your doctor. I don't care if it's a lawyer. I don't care if it's your therapist. You have the right to find someone who works with you. You don't have to. Now, having the right and having the ability are two different things in our present system, because the system
right.
sometimes doesn't allow you to easily find another practitioner. But you don't have to stay with a practitioner who is telling you, and I even tell my own clients that. I'm like, if I am not the right person for you, fire me. Like, I don't want, that's not my job. I see my job as the navigator. I tell them they're the captain of their ship. I am only their navigator. I'm just here to say, okay, Captain, where do you want to go today? And here are the maps for us to do that. Which one do you want to try? That's my job. My job has nothing to do, and it's reflecting back to them their stuff. It's helping them cross the threshold by understanding their own journey. It has nothing to do with me.
But isn't that so much better? Because you can't live somebody else's life, kind of like you were saying earlier. So even no matter if it's the greatest advice, if it's not yours, if it's not your path, there's no use in following.
And even putting people on pedestals, like you said, I got to thinking about that, because the pedestal thing, we've got, you and I were talking before the show of people that we follow, and, we've got a lot of people we follow the similar. There's a couple people you follow that I'm like, they're like well-known.
Right.
And some of them I really like their stuff, and some of them I'm like, I'm not so sure of their stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're bad people or that you shouldn't be following them, because frankly, we all have, we all have whatever lessons we need at whatever time, if we listen to it. And I think the secret on the staying discerning in the digital age and staying all those things, I really think it's going inside, seeing what's yours and what's not. Okay. Kind of like we talked about that legal disclaimer at the top of the show. Take what's yours, leave what's not. Is going inside, figuring out what is yours, what isn't, taking what is yours and leaving what isn't. Although sometimes you even might want to question the stuff that isn't yours and go, well, is it mine or not? Or is it something I might want to do?
Right.
Because there might be lessons and new learnings there. I think staying open and curious to new learnings, while also taking responsibility for XYZ just happened. This event just happened. Which part of it am I responsible for? And which part of it the other person might be not only responsible for, but it's not even mine. It's not even something between us. It's their own journey and their own stuff. And being able to go, okay, my responsibility is to do this. Am I honoring my responsibility and my purpose? And if I'm not, what do I need to do to make a different decision and move forward differently? I think we were talking about some of those things before the show too, Teresa. Not go into them, but understanding.
Yeah.
You go, okay, what in this is when and it's that going inside part, which doesn't. It's hard sometimes because it involves just you and source.
So what is your favorite way to go inside?
Ooh, of late, it's. So when I'm learning about my human design, I'm a 3-5 generator with a sacral and splenic response.
Okay.
And I have defined sacral, root, and spleen centers. So I'm super defined in all three of those.
Wow.
So I can move fast, even though the spleen is like quiet things. The sacral is a sacral yes or no. Right. The spleen are the quiet ones. But I can take those and I can make a fast decision that is a sacral yes or no.
Wow.
And move quickly and generate lots of things. which is hard for the people around me because generally, they're not always, I move so fast that like some people go like, what the hell, squirrel, that whole squirrel thing, is like watching me move,
Right.
it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It's taken me a long time to realize that just because I move fast doesn't mean that I'm doing things bad or the wrong. It just means that's how I am.
Yeah. That's how
And
the energy moves through.
it's how my energy moves. And I don't, I used to think that I had to dampen or tamper my energy down for others because they were, because maybe I was harming them or this or that. And it's like, no, that's their journey. So to answer your question of what's my favorite way, it's that therapy by gut that I used to do.
Okay.
The more I lean into and listen to it and let it do what it's going to do,
Yeah.
the better the therapy is for my clients, the better the journey is for them, because they've told me this. And I've watched them make massive
Oh, wow.
changes in their life,
Wow.
sustained. They don't go backwards. They are all moving forward. And but the more I lean into that for myself and listen to those things and realize that sometimes I make a really fast decision that other people may go, how the hell did you decide that? And I used to say it was just like, oh, well, I've been shopping for that thing for a long time, and then all of a sudden I just decide to do it. That's not even the case. Sometimes I can make a fast decision like that, and it's that sacral listening to my gut and the listening to the whisper. And so I think the answer is, my favorite one now is as our friend Sang says, pause
Pause.
and listen.
Yeah.
But my pauses are so fast that other people don't think I've paused.
Because you know why? It's outside of space and time, the pause. So the pause already did its thing for you, which might be a split to them, but it could have been eternity for you. It could have, when we get those things.
Teresa, that answers so many things for me, because you're right. It's outside of, time is a man-made construct, just like race is. Both stories are, let's not even go there, but it is, it's that pause for me is very quick. And so people think that I'm not pausing or I'm not slowing down or I don't whatever, because I'm not following what their pace is or their rules.
Yeah.
And it's not that their rules are wrong. Do not misunderstand me at all. I actually teach, self-care and pauses and this and that, all based on time. But my time is different. And I think each of us needs to honoring that gut of our own, or as we learn about whatever our human design, our astrology, or whatever the pieces, like, the more you learn about that, which is why I think, oh my God, learning the spirituality really does give me what I need to do therapy for Stacy.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's not bypassing, it is the thing.
Yeah.
It's not bypassing the thing. It can give me the answers faster and stronger and more clear if I learn it. And so I'm loving this time period that we're living in, where science and spirituality are coming back together. And I mean, that's why the things in my business are all for therapists, healers, therapists, coaches, healers, and their clients. I have an app store I'm getting ready to launch where I've built apps using the technology,
right, that
are for the therapists, the healers, the coaches, and for their clients. And it's because I've brought that together,
awesome.
But I love that in society on the whole, the science is coming back to spirituality and it's crossing over. I'm hearing the healers talk about scientific things. I'm hearing the scientific people talk about spiritual things.
Yeah.
And I think we're bringing it back together. And I think we had to go on the journey to learn the science. We had to split it off for a reason.
Right.
But I imagine people like Tesla, and I don't mean the car, I mean Nikola Tesla. People like Nikola Tesla, people like the suffragettes, people that 100 years ago, all of those people working on the things that they knew a lot of this even then, and
Yeah.
they were all so far ahead of their time, or they were all behind their time because way back you go indigenous, they all knew it then too, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, there's again, is time forward or backward? And the blending of those things is so amazing. And that more and more people, I don't know if more and more people are understanding it, but I'm meeting, like just randomly meeting people who are understanding.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just met a new colleague Friday. We had met in an online group and then met in person Friday because we're both in the same area. Didn't know this person from Adam and had an immediate amazing connection, and she's just a beautiful soul, and her knowledge about this kind of thing is just so amazing, and I'm hearing people that have been in my world forever who I didn't think knew anything about that types of spirituality
Oh,
talk about things. So I
right
think we're
on.
all coming into the knowledges of, and maybe we'll start hearing more and more about it in things like the regular news or something. I don't know.
I
That
hope
would
so.
that would be so cool to like watch the news and go, okay, the Schumann resonance for today is
Yeah.
as a part of the weather because it is a part of the astrological weather,
I've heard about centers. I don't know if they're all opening yet, but people who have plans of whole body, whole system centers where you don't just go in to see the dentist or the haircut. You go in for the whole body system and come out the other side floating. No, no,
Ooh,
no, no.
can you
But no,
imagine? You go
that
in and to get
everything
like
is
a
there.
you
Yeah.
you get a haircut, a makeover, you get to sit in the hot tub, the cold plunge, the sauna, you get a full body mask, you get to do a hypnosis while you're there,
Some
you get
inner child
an
and
Akashic
some
reading.
shadow. Yeah. Yeah. See?
I
See
love
now by
it.
the time you come out, you
Yoga.
feel good and pampered, Yeah.
Yeah.
So but that's like more bringing it back to the whole system because even with the doctors having the dentist separate, there's a lot that goes in our mouths that affect our gut and
Uh-huh.
everything. And so it's those two have to work together more sometimes to get our whole
Well,
health going and things. So I love this everything coming together more
it's
and
so
more.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited about that.
yeah,
Well,
and
this was fun.
it
Go
was
ahead.
it's always fun with you, Teresa. T-dubs, I
Well,
love spending time with you. I
oh,
love
thank
spending time with
you.
you, and this is the second time I was on spirit sessions, but this one, um, I've been on if I need to go back and watch the other one because the spiritual journey I've been on since the first time I was
Oh,
on
really? Think
it now is
about that.
huge. Huge.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that exciting? I love this. And I
I
love
love
all
it.
the things. The notes I took from what you were saying today is well, how do we know if we're spiritually bypassing or not? Well, the thing is, it is that we're bringing it into a balance with our physical, our mental, our emotional, and there was one more. Was it
Social.
social? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
See, I'm gonna write that down. And
Yep.
social. So when all of those are into balance, now you're dealing with your whole self. And then
Mhm.
over here I wrote we need to remain human because what else can we do? This
Right?
is everything. Okay, that we have all kinds of portals,
Well,
everything. This
we're
is
spiritual beings having a human experience too,
yeah. And
you
it's
know?
beautiful as it is. And then to keep our curiosity because you go stagnant if you don't keep your curiosity, right? No more
I
growth.
I used to think, okay, when I die, that's when I stop, or when I stop learning, that's when I'm gonna die. And then the other thought is when I die, I'll stop learning. And then I had the realization not long ago. No, you're not. You're just gonna come back here and do it again. Or go somewhere else and do it again, or go somewhere else. It's
Because there's
it's
the growth.
it's yeah, it's stay curious and stay learning, and that that never ends and neither does life.
And then the other part was staying connected to each other. What was another thing that came through you? And that's so important. One, because there's wisdom and knowledge that we can share with each other, so much more than the differences that we're all looking at right now. There's so much more that we can do
It's the
together,
experience that we learn from.
and supporting each other, sharing of our experiences, and taking that and moving to the next level and stuff. And so there's so much. So learning what recognizing what's yours and what's not, and taking responsible and honoring what is yours and honoring what's theirs, and things like that. So those are the notes I took today.
Yeah,
So,
even when you disagree, honor that somebody that's their thing.
yeah,
You know,
that's
like
buffalo medicine. Buffalo medicine is honoring somebody
you're right.
even if it brings you pain.
You are so right. Now, not to say you want to allow them to bring you pain. It's honoring that they are where they need to be.
Okay, good
You don't
point.
have to.
See?
You don't have to allow yourself to. Now you may have pain from something, but you can also release it. I mean, and beautiful Hawaiians. Our Hawaiian cousins have such a beautiful ceremony with that. With Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
Is staying pono with each other by making decisions that honor each other's journey, and being able to go, hey, I forgive you. Do you forgive me? I love you. Do you love me? And cutting that negative piece between you and keeping the positive, so that you can stay connected in that positive, beautiful piece of that golden cord. They call it the aka, the golden cord between people. And you keep that golden energy cord, and you cut the negative thing. If you've had negative feelings for each other, is forgiveness. Hey, I think I've did something to you. Will you forgive me? Or, hey, I think you did something to me. I forgive you. And cutting that part so that you can continue the golden piece between you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The peace. It's a
And the
piece,
peace.
but it's
And
the
the peace.
peace.
And the peace. You're right.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So any last parting words that you would any parting wisdom that you would like to share with us?
Usually when people ask me that, I say, have grace with yourself, which I still will. I'll put that one in there. But just now, Source also told me to say, a prayer of, a native prayer is, and it's the shortest prayer I ever have heard. It's in Potawatomi, we say Janaganan. In Lakota, they say Matakwesi. And the meaning of that short little phrase or prayer is all my relations. And what that means is that we are all connected. And that by itself is a prayer.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I say all my relations.
I heard you say words I've only read before, and it's like, wow, that's how it sounds.
Yeah.
It is like way cool.
Janaganan that's a hard one to learn too. Potawatomi is an interesting language, but it's and I had learned Matakwesi long before. I learned Lakota. I learned lots of Lakota long before I learned any Potawatomi. And I am Potawatomi, so it's all my relations is what the prayer means. And
I've heard it sung by Eulale. Do you know who Eulale is?
I know
they were from
Eulale.
Smoke Signals. Okay, they have a song called "All My Relations."
All my relations. Yeah, that's
away, away, away. Okay, anyway, it's a great song. I'll send it to you sometime.
Oh, I've got all of Eulale's.
Oh, do you? Okay, then you know that. Yeah.
I wish they would have kept going because they have beautiful voices.
Oh, yeah. That the one from Smoke Signals. That's the one. I wanted to have that playing when I was giving birth, but then I didn't know if anybody. It was the one about our father. I'm not going to sing it. Okay, I'm just not. Okay, I came that close to trying to put those words out there. Nope, it's still trying to come. Boy, okay, anyway, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll find out the right name, and then you'll know which one that is. But anyway, I appreciate you coming, Stacy.
I appreciate being here, Teresa.
It's been fun because I love learning, and I love seeing new perspectives. And I think today, we've learned that there are things that we can come together and talk about now, whereas before, maybe it wasn't so much. But now's the time, everyone. Let's come together and talk about these things and be more solution-oriented, more happy things. There's good things
more
to
connected.
be seen. Connected with each other.
Like allow the connections with each other. Allow differences to connect us.
Yes, it's time.
Allow our diversity to connect us, not to divide us.
Boom, there it is.
There's the word, and that one just came to me.
And it's a real thing either. It's not just a little phrase, oh, cute, and then we go on.
No.
This is the heart of it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to share that next week on Spirit Sessions, we're talking about meditation, awareness, and the Ashaya's ascension practice with Brahma Ashaya. Now, the thing about it is we've always done meditations on Spirit Sessions. We've always done this and that and visualizations, but this guy is going to give us a how-to. And it's going to be really fun because we're going to learn something from this guy. And Rhonda's learning. She's taking a class with him. I think that's where she is today. And then I wanted to read another little announcement to everyone, our beautiful family here. We are in the final weeks of Spirit Sessions. This is our third to the last week. And we want to take a moment to fully thank each and every one of you who's been with us and a part of our journey. You know, we couldn't have done it without you, and that's the truth. Our paths are unfolding in different directions, and each of us continues to spread the light in our own unique way. And I wouldn't have it any other way. We are deeply grateful for all the love. And there's that word again, the connection and the beautiful conversations we've shared, very much like today. And so while we're coming to a close, you could still find us. Rhonda's going to be using her extra time to be doing more individual Reiki sessions. And you'll still see me over making a lot of noise at the Breakthrough Show Network and having fun with different events. And I've got my ongoing, it's Mystic Lines, where inner work meets myth, magic, and meaning. And that's where we talk about a lot of things like we have today. And then we practice my style of neurographics. And
which is amazing. I've done it.
Oh, isn't it fun though? This is the funnest thing. And my style is more like the church windows. What are those called?
Stained glass.
Yeah. It comes out more like that. So maybe someday I'll try it that way. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love to do that. So big things are happening, and we love you all. And always keep sharing your view of the light. The world needs it, and I do too. Mwah. Thank you all.
This is a view